Today's lesson is exponents. Our objectives are to use exponents and to use the order of operation with exponents. Vocabulary: you can use exponents to show repeated multiplication, and a power has two parts. A base, that is going to be your big number. So if I go 3, that would be my base. And an exponent, and that would be the tiny number up in the corner on the right hand side. That will go with only the number that it's attached with. If it's not attached with all the numbers, there's ways of writing it. You can write it in a parentheses. So that squared would go with the A and the -3, but that's it. Nothing else. Alright, let's try some. We're going to write using exponents, which means we're not finding the answer. Please do not, if it's all numbers like on A, please do not find the complete answer. Okay, so we're going to first write, it says in parentheses -5, -5, and -5, so you're going to write that number. And you're going to tell me how many times it was -5 was written. Well, 3 times, so that would be your exponent. See, the -5 is your base. And that 3 is telling me how many times I multiplied that -5. B, you always start with your numbers. So I'm going to do -2. Well, -2 is only written once, so you keep it that way. Then you alphabetically go. So it's A is first, and you tell me how many times there are A's. There's 1A, 2 A's, and 3 A's. So that's telling me it's cubed. And then alphabetically B, and there's only one B. So there you go. Start with a number first. There's 4. 4 is only written once. And then alphabetically X goes next. How many X's? Only 1. And then Y. How many Y's? There are 2. D. Check and see. There's a 3. How many 3's are there? There are 2 of them. And then you alphabetically, there's no A's or B's, but C's. How many are there? There are 2 of them. D's. How many there are there? There are 2 of them. And that is how you do exponents with variables also. Alright, simplify. A is, simplify means find the answer. Okay, so I'm going to write out where 10 cubed means 10 times 10 times 10. And I'm going to start with the first 2 numbers. So 10 times 10 is 100 times 10. That's how I do it. And that will be 1,000. B. Ooh, this is a little different. Notice the 2 only goes to the 7 because it's not in parentheses. So it goes -7 times 7 because there are 2 7's there. And you multiply them together. So you have -7 times 7, which is -49. Not 14. C. This time you have a parentheses. So this time it's going to go -7 times -7 times -7. So we have -7 times -7, that's a positive 41, times a -7. So most of us can't do that in our heads. So I did the math and it's 343. But notice that's a -7 and that's a positive 49, so it's going to be -343. D. I have a negative on the outside, so I'm going to have a negative. Then I'm going to have -3 times -3 times -3. So I'm going to do the negative 3 and negative 3 first. And that's positive 9. You still have a negative on the outside, so bring it down. Times a negative 3. That's bringing down that one. So 9 times 3 is 27, and they're both negative, so it's a positive 27. All right. Okay, example 3. So we're on the next page. Example 3. We're simplifying or evaluating. So evaluate means we substitute and then find answer. All right, so it's going to be, I have A is right here, and you're going to plug in this whole thing for A. So it's going to look like this. Always have a parentheses in the area that the variable is located. So I would do 3 times A, which is negative 3, and then you square it, plus 2. Now we're going to do order of operations. Order of operations, again, is parentheses and then exponents. Well, the number inside the parentheses needs to have an exponent. So it's going to be 3 times negative 3 is 9, plus 2. And then we multiply 3 times 9, which is 27, plus 2, which equals 29. Okay, B. We're going to start with parentheses. That would be 3 plus 2, so we have our 4. And then we have 3 plus 2, which is 5. And then we square it. And then you do exponents. So the squared only goes with the 5. So you would do 4 times 25, because 5 times 5 is 25, not 10. And 4 times 25 is 100. C, we have 2 times 5 squared plus 4 times negative 3 cubed. So we could do two things at once. We can write down what 5 squared is, which is 25. And we can write down what negative 3 cubed is. So let's find out what it is. So I'm going to do this first, which is positive 9 times negative 3, which is negative 27. So I would put negative 27, put it in parentheses, because it's a negative at the end. And then I could do 2 times 25, which is 50. And I could do 4 times negative 27. That I'm going to have to do on the side. 8, 9, 10. So it's negative 108. All right, now I have 50 plus negative 108. Well, remember they're opposite signs, so you're going to subtract them. So it's 108 minus 50, which is 58. Now is it a negative or a positive? Well, 108 is bigger than 50, so it's going to be negative 58. Now, D, little different. Look at this. We have negative a to the 4th and negative a to the 4th. One's in parentheses and one isn't. So we're going to start with not parentheses and why they're different. So D, I'm going to go negative 2 to the 4th and negative 2 to the 4th. Well, I'm going to move that over just a little bit. Let's put it negative 2 to the 4th over here. So the first negative a to the 4th is saying negative 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. All right. And the second negative 2 to the 4th is saying negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Now let's do the problem. Negative 2 times 2, negative 4, times 2, negative 8, times 2, negative 16. Here's your answer. Let's try this one. Negative 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is negative 8, times negative 2 is positive 16. So, when you do it, I really want you to put this in parentheses. Notice I didn't put the negative on the first one in parentheses. I only put the 2's in parentheses. So that's helpful when you do exponents when you evaluate and you substitute numbers. Always put a parentheses around what's being substituted. All right, goodbye.